Dear Mr. Erlendur, come here. Thank you for coming here in Croatia. Vama hvala za pljesak. The stage is yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. I didn't understand anything of what she said, but I hope it was good. I'm hoping it was good. So, hi everyone, I'm Erlendur. I'm from Sweeply. I'm really honored to be here today. I want to thank Marko and the Rentlio team for giving me this opportunity to be here today. Coming from Iceland, I'm here. Also have my colleague Frans, who's also from Iceland. So 2 Icelanders in this group. There are only 400,000 people in the whole of Iceland, so you got a good piece of Iceland already here, talking about data. So I want to share with you a story. And it's going to reflect on some of the things that are already been said here about Marko, talking about technology and how that's really important for us going forward in the hospitality industry. But I'm going to share you with your story about one of our clients, Icelandic Hotels, and how they use data-driven decisions to improve service, profitability, and sustainability. But first, a little bit about me. I already told you that I'm from Iceland. Let me see. So I'm from Iceland, but when I was a teenager, I actually moved with my family to Denmark, Copenhagen. My parents, they set up a bed and breakfast in Copenhagen, so I have actually raised in the hospitality industry. But I studied computer sciences, and I spent 25 years of my career creating software to improve processes in different industries. And it was actually not until I exited my first startup and co-founded Sweeply that I got the opportunity to combine my background in hospitality with my family and my background in technology. So this too. But before I tell you more, I would be really interested to know who of you are still printing out things, calling and running around in your hotels, your hoteliers. Anyone printing out things here? No one? Yeah, we have some hands. I see, yeah, this is not a surprise. So, because at Sweeply we are simplifying and we are part of the solution to some of the problems that were already discussed here today. So we are simplifying housekeeping and task management. So that's really what we do. And talking about technology and operations and coming back to the question that I asked, we see still many hospitality businesses are using traditional methods to operate. And printing out lists, running around, calling, all of these things, most of you probably know it, already are doing it today and maybe thinking about how we can improve it. Instead of using modern tools that offers efficiency, they capture data and gives you valuable insight of your operation. So there's a lot of things to be gained by digitization. On top of that, Marko also touched on this subject. This is an important subject. Not only in Croatia, we see in a lot of countries the problem with staff shortages. This is a real problem in most countries. And we also see the hotels are trying to find ways to fix this by offering incentives to get people to come back after COVID. But the fact is that this has really not been working as many of the hotels wished. So what can we do? And one of the answers to that question is technology. Technology can really help with it because it can provide the guest with more options, more choices, but at the same time it also can eliminate manual work and thus requiring less people to do those repetitive tasks that really don't need to be done in the way that many hospitality businesses are doing them today. So I want to tell you about an example of that, an experiment that we did with one of our hotels. It's an Icelandic hotel, Reykjavik Lights. It's a 3-star hotel, 105 rooms, and they have 5 to 9 people in housekeeping based on occupancy. And they were, before the experiment, doing the traditional policy. They were providing the guest with daily housekeeping, even though the guest many times didn't want it and even were not informing the reception or anyone about their wishes. And of course, this is again wasting a lot of time and resources doing things that are not necessary. So they decided to do an experiment. And they decided to change this policy and say to the guest, you have to ask for housekeeping. It's a simple change. Doesn't sound so much, but let's see how they implemented it. So the first step is that in the pre-arrival email that is sent out to the guests, they inform them about this policy. And the second step is when the guest arrives in the hotel, they are asking the guest, what do you want? What are your wishes? And then they capture those wishes into Sweeply. So in effect, every single guest is getting their own tailored housekeeping experience, because here you're just asking the guest what they want. And then the housekeeping step is actually using then Sweeply to then implement the correct text. And one of the things that this is a story about is not about changing policy, but when you digitize processes, they are not only capturing how you're doing things today, but they then enable you to do things more complex in the background, but more simple for the client. Meaning that this is quite complex to have a tailor-made housekeeping process for each and individual reservation. You can only do that if you're using technology. This is enabled to do that. And then the fifth step is that the managers have access to real-time data. They can see how things are going, and they can plan the future based on that data. So this is making efficient, all this cycle is efficient. So you might ask, what were the results? And the results were amazing. I'm telling this story, I'm going all around Europe telling this story to hoteliers, and typically when I tell this story and show them results, which you're going to see on the next slide, they normally look at me and they don't believe the result. The result was 71% of guests declined housekeeping, which is amazing. And you don't think, wow, how can this be possible? And they saved 179 hours just in this small hotel for 1 month. So it actually had a huge impact on their operations. But the guests also got something that they hadn't had before. So you see the data from this experiment is impressive. So you would see, one of the questions you might say, is this just one-off? Was this a fluke? Was there some certain things? Does this actually scale? Can we do this on a bigger scale? And does it work similarly? And we actually approached the management team of Icelandic hotels in Iceland. They have a chain of 16 hotels, 3 and 4 star, all around Iceland. They have close to 2,000 rooms. And the management team believed they could replicate these results. And they said to us, hey, this was in May this year. They said, hey, we want it before the season starts. And that was in 5 weeks. So a bit of a challenge. And actually Franz, who's here with me, he was the main guy responsible for this project. And we created an ambitious plan. So we had 5 weeks. We stepped on what needed to be done, and we went for it. And we provided the template for the policy change. We provided the training materials, and we also facilitated the meetings locally and remotely. The key to this project was change management. It's all about the people and not technology. We talk a lot about technology and how it can enable it, but at the end of the day, we need to bring the people in and get them to embrace the changes. Because any change can very easily be killed by resistance internally. So we need to do it the right way to get the people with us to understand why this is happening and what the benefit is for them. We need to get top-down support, and we need to get the key stakeholders bought into this process. So we had like a 3 steps implementation plan in Sweeply, in the change management. So first we introduce the changes to the leadership team. Then we onboard the middle management team, train them. And then the middle management team trains the rest of the staff, and they go live. And again, the results were amazing. Through 16 hotels, we see on this graph the results. And this is showing you for the first 4 months of implementation from June to September for each hotel. And what you see here is actually that the decline rate is from 50% all the way up to close to 90%. And then you might ask, why is this difference? Why are some 50%? Why are some 90%? And there are a couple of answers to this. One answer is that in the rural areas, you saw whole Iceland. In the rural areas, the tourists tend to stay shorter, so 1, 2 days, maybe 3 days. So you get more easily to accept the guest to have no housekeeping at all, therefore, thus higher decline rate. In the other hotels where you have longer stays, they maybe have decline every other day, so you will have high decline rate, but not 90%, which is quite high. And then also we see that the decline rate is increasing over time. And why is that? And the reason for that is this is about people again. You need to train the people. They need to sell this to the guest and present it correctly to get the results. So this is the important thing. So we see that with the right training, you can go up and get more and better result. But overall, the results are still staggeringly good. So in only 2 months, they paid back the investment for our platform, and in 4 months, they saved 6,400 hours. 6,400 hours. This is crazy. And if we summarize what the overall results were, then number 1, you have happier guests. And why? They get less service. Why are they happier? Because you're giving them more choice. You're asking them what they want instead of telling them what they should have. Number 2, you have happier staff, because with Sweeply and this implementation policy, then you have less work overload, so they are feeling less stressful. And then you have happy managers, because they are more able to handle the peak hours, less likely to experience staff shortages, and they have more time to focus on the things that actually makes the guest experience better, so focus on the guests. And then, of course, because you're not doing as many cleanings per day, you're using less linen, you're using less chemicals, you're saving money there as well. And then at the end of the day, because you're saving all those things, you're also greener and a more sustainable hotel. So let me summarize this for you. What were the lessons learned in this project? And I hope you can have some value of that. Number 1, using modern tools, like Rentlio, like Sweeply, and all of these modern tools that are out there to help hospitality business be more technology funded or technology based and be able to do things differently, enables you to make smaller experiments like we started out this story with, capture the data, see the result, measure the impact on the business, and to iterate to see where you can streamline and make your hotel, your hospitality business even better. It's all about the people. If you're changing something, you need to have the people with you. So change management is key for implementing new processes. And then you need to get the buy-in from the stakeholders, and you need top-down support to get things going. And then you want to monitor the progress, overall progress, and see how things are going. And as I saw you in the data, you can see then if things are not going well in the beginning, you just reinforce training to get you to the level where you think you can be in terms of overall result. So I'm happy to be able to be here and share with you this story, because this is really interesting, and we have now over 30 hotels that have implemented this and with similar results. So this is, again, not just one story. This is a story about many other hotels we did it with. And I hope you've been motivated to rethink your operations, to see some opportunities and see how you can make your hotel even better. So I'm happy to take any answers and take any questions that you might have and answer them here. Any questions? Thank you. I'm sure someone has one question for me. If we have it only in English. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is the app only in English language?
So I answer that question always with, we use the international language of colors and icon for the housekeeping team, But for the management, we have it still only in English, but we are coming up with Sweeply in different languages, but we still have thousands of users in 12 countries. Some of them speak no English at all, are using Sweeply every day. So that's normally 99% instances, it's not a problem, but as I say, we will be implementing more language support going forward. But the housekeeping team, international language of college and ICOS.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm sure you're interested in knowing something more that I didn't answer. One more question.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. I didn't understand a lot going on here, but I see that all of you are quite happy, so that I'm happy, and that's the main thing. Anyone with a last question before I conclude? No? And I want to thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.